Welcome to Stompbox TV, I'm Richard and I'm here to talk to you about loopers. The market leader for loopers by about 1 billion miles is Boss. They call them the loop stations. They sell a phenomenal amount of loop stations and it's something we get asked about in store a lot. There's quite a lot of confusion about loopers. There is a lot of information out there about them, so I'm not gonna really get into what does a looper do. I'm gonna assume you know that already. What I want to talk about is what's the difference between the Boss loopers. Today we're going to look at the RC-1, RC-3 and RC-30 where there's a distinct hierarchy. We're also going to talk about the brand new RC-10R. There is also the RC-300. I think if you're looking at the RC-300 then this video is clearly of no use to you because A, it's not in the video, but B, you probably already know about loopers because the RC-300 really is for someone to take looping on to the next level. So we'll ignore that for now. Any of these loopers are ideal for the beginner and ideal for the more experienced user. All of them will do basic looping, and that is the most common feature, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, of a looper. So we're going to start with the RC-1. The RC-1 does everything that you want of a live looper. I say live looper because there's no storage, you build the loops live. Loopers are there to allow you to jam with yourself, to build up a song in parts, much like Ed Sheeran, probably the most famous looper at the moment and someone who's responsible for selling a lot of loopers. So any looper will do that, anyone in the range, fundamentally that's what it is. So people ask how much recording time there is. The answer is, do you know what? I don't know. I don't know. The answer is enough looping. You will not run out of space on this. This is not something to record your album on, it's something to record 8 bars, 16 bars, maybe a little bit longer, but not a lot because this is going to loop around. So if you've got a 5-minute song and it's only looping 5 times in those 5 minutes, that's going to be quite a boring song, I would imagine. So, what's brilliant about the Boss loopers, and the RC-1 is no different, you get a 5-year warranty. The build quality is unlike any other pedal on the market. They are absolutely bomb-proof. If there was a nuclear war, Boss pedals would survive them. Now the RC-1 came out after the RC-3 and 30, and as such it's got a feature which is very desirable, very useful, and isn't featured on the 3 and 30. And what that is when you push to record, and I have already been playing with this, but what you've got the red LEDs dancing there, which tells you you're in record mode. If I then press the pedal again, I've got red and green LEDs, but rather than just flickering randomly, they're going round like a clock dial. And that shows you where you are in the loop. Obviously, before you've recorded something, it doesn't know how long the loop's going to be, so it can't give you that clock face. Once you've got the loop in there, and it knows it can give you that, red and green signify you're both playing the loop you've recorded and recording an overdub. If I was to press the pedal again, you're purely into green mode, green being play, so it's now just simply playing. You can play over the top, but it won't be recording. So this is ideal to lay down if you've laid down some chords and you want to solo over the top, you wouldn't want that solo recorded and being looped. So that allows you to do that. You've got control over the level of the loop relative to your live guitar. And if you want to stop it, you just double tap and you're done. Okay? You can restart that loop, so when I say there's no memories, it has a memory for the current loop only, all right? So you build it up live and that's it. The RC-1 stereo operation, that's another thing that it has over some of the competitors, but really, really simple, really good feel, really easy to use. The foot switch is really important as well because when you want to double tap, you need a good foot switch that's going to respond quickly, on time as well for loopers. It's really important to be in time. One final feature I'm going to talk about with the RC-1, which it has over some of its competitors, is this. It's got an extra hole. We all love an extra hole, and what that is it allows you to plug in another foot switch. So although this is a single foot switch looper, you can optionally plug in a foot switch which will allow you instant access to stop or undo. So that is the RC-1, and aside from these LEDs that aren't present on the RC-3 and 30, you're going to get all this functionality as you go up the range. So if you're someone who thinks, I want to just start out looping, but I also want access to the features, I may not use them at the moment, but I want to grow into it, then be confident you can get the 3 or 30, you'll get all the features of the RC-1 with the exception of this LED here. So moving on to the RC-3. As I said, all the same features except for two key differences. What these are you now have 99 memory locations. So you can store your loops. If you're someone who is doing gigs, maybe you want to play along to some backing tracks or some pre-made loops. Then you can store your set list in here. So you've got 99 memory locations. The other thing you have is rhythms. Now I say rhythms, there are some very basic rhythms. There's 10 patterns and they really are basic. You have control over the tempo. So we start off with a very simple hi-hat. And let me just, if I get into it, there we go. So rhythm number 0, if we can call it that. So really basic. So these are patterns that you are going to get very bored of very quickly. They're there as a real guide, but they're not great patterns at all. But it's not that much more expensive than the RC-1. You get the memory locations, which is key. You get the 10 drum patterns as well. On top of that, you also get two more things. The first is an aux in, so you could record from an MP3 player or your phone, whatever. If you want to put some sound effects on there or any other sort of backing track, you can record direct in. It's a 3.5mm socket. The other is USB. What that USB is, it's not a USB interface. It's simply to make the pedal function like a USB stick. When you plug it into the computer, it comes up with 99 folders. They're your 99 memory locations. You can either take, drag and drop your files that you've created on the pedal and store them on your computer, or you can put stuff that you've got on the computer and drag it straight into the folders to plonk onto the pedal. So that is quite useful. Again, it's stereo operation. Again, you have a extra socket there that you can plug in, an external foot switch if you do want instant access to more functions. So that's the 3 over the 1. You've got the drum patterns, you've got the memories, you've got the USB and the aux in for not a huge amount more money. Okay. Moving on to the RC-30. Now, once again, the RC-30 has everything that the RC-3 contains. The biggest and most obvious difference is that we're now into a different format. We have 2 pedals on the foot switch, or two on the pedal rather. You can still plug in yet another foot switch, in fact a double foot switch, something like the Boss FS6, which would give you again more access to different features. While we're on the back panel, you can see one of the other obvious differences is here you can plug in a microphone. It has got a XLR input. It does have phantom power should you require that, as well as plugging in an instrument like your guitar. So you can now use this. This is what we refer to as a 2-track looper. So you can use it in one of 2 ways. You could, if you wanted, use vocals on one track and guitar on another track. That would give you complete control over, and separate control over both the guitar and the vocals. Of course, On a normal looper, if you're going to add both in, not only do you need to be plugging and unplugging, which you can't really do live, you also amalgamate the loops. So you can't take away the vocals or from the guitar unless you've got them on separate tracks, which you can do here. If you don't want to do vocals and guitar, then you can use the 2 tracks to do a song structure. Most obviously would be verse and chorus of a song. So you could switch between those and come back to each one. Okay, so that's again another thing that it's got over the RC-3. And the final thing it has over the RC-3 are some effects. The effects, I'm going to say it, they're not great. You've got 5 different effects. What is good about them is they aren't applied to the recording, they're applied in real time. So as you can put them onto something that you've recorded and take it off. You can go through each one, and you can do this with the foot switch as well. But in my opinion, this is more of a novelty thing. They really aren't that great. You've got control over the levels of each of the 2 tracks. Again, you've got the 99 memory locations we saw in the RC-3, and you've got the same rhythm patterns that we saw in the RC-3. So from the RC-3 to here, just to recap, you have 2-track looping, which enables you either to do verse and chorus or to do vocals and guitar. You have the dedicated microphone input, and you've got the 2 foot switches, the different formats. So if you've got the space for this on your board, this is a good upgrade to the RC-3. And if you're still new to looping and you like the sound of those features for some point in the future, there's no reason why you couldn't use this in exactly the same way as the RC-1. It's not an especially expensive pedal, still great value, still comes with a 5-year warranty, still built like an absolute tank. The RC-10R, RC-10R, brand new out. So this is, as you can see, a new format of pedal. Boss have released their 200 series pedals, which are not looper pedals, in this new chassis. So they have this new chassis available. It has the 2 foot switches available, and as you can see, is in a much more compact form than the RC-30. Okay. Now, with the launch of this pedal, there are still reasons to buy the RC-30 over this, though I don't know how much longer all these pedals will carry on. I would imagine there'll be some sort of update to certainly the 30 at some point. There was similar-ish price point. There is no dedicated microphone input, so if you specifically want vocal looping and added to guitar, then really the 30 is the way to go. What this also doesn't have, if we're talking, I should really be telling you what it does have than doesn't, but nonetheless, what it doesn't have is the effects that the RC-30 had, though if you recall I did say that in my opinion those effects aren't really great. But aside from that, it has memory locations, same as the 3 and 30. It has drum patterns, but that's where it differs from the RC-30. If I just plug this in, where on the RC-3 and 30 we had very, very basic rhythm patterns, on here we've pretty much got almost a drum machine. So if I just start here, you'll have to turn the volume up. So we've got a funk pattern going on here. I can change the tempo of that. Bring it right the way down. Every pattern on here, I'll turn it down a bit. Every pattern on here has an intro and an outro, as well as fills. So I can, just by pressing the foot switch, I can include a fill where I want it. You'll notice here it's saying 1828. What this is a pattern of 8 bars. So it will show you where you are in that pattern. It's got level control here as well. And you've also got what we saw in the RC-1 for the loop, you've also, which happens to be here, you've got the same for the rhythm, so you know exactly where you are. So first bar, second bar, and it's going around here. So you can see very, very clearly where you are. Now, each rhythm, you can select from pattern 1 to pattern 2. So it's got 2 patterns per rhythm. You've got an intro and an outro, and if I click it there one time, you get the fill. So it is a really, really, well, that's just on one pattern. You've got, if we come over here, you've got various different styles, and within each, you have various different rhythms. Okay, each of them having a couple of variations, each of them having intro and outro, each of them having a fill as well. So certainly from a drumming point of view, this is in a different league to the 3 and the 30, but on top of that, they're still preset rhythms. However, what you can do with this, which does take it on to another level, is you can program your own drums on a computer and then import them into the pedal. You can create a whole song structure out of it, so you're not limited to just the 8 bars, you're not limited to just the patterns within this, but they're a great starting point. As a practice tool, it's phenomenal. It's kind of what you wanted the 3 and the 30 to be in terms of their drums. This has got it. I know a lot of people use looping without any rhythms. You can use this without rhythm as well. It's there for you if you wish. In terms of the looping, again, this is a 2-track looper like the 30. So if you want to do a song structure, verse and chorus, you can do that. You can't do, as we said earlier, the 30 enabled you to plug a mic in. You can't do that, so you can't do vocals and guitar separately. So this really would be more focused on verse and chorus. So what you're getting here is a really, really good rhythm unit in a pedal, something that's, there are other units out there that do only rhythm with no looping that have that cost a similar amount to this. So you're getting that plus a very advanced looper that still can be used in just the same way as the RC-1. So if you're new to looping, don't be put off by this. In fact, with the rhythms, this may be even a better one to start on than the RC-1 that contains no rhythms whatsoever. That's for you to call, and one that suits your budget as well. But this is a brilliant addition to the Boss range. It does have MIDI capability as well, which again, for the more advanced users, it's all here for you. It's there. It's got USB on it. It can also, you can plug in extra foot switches again if you want, something we've seen throughout the range. And this new format is really, really compact, really easy to use. So I think there's every reason to buy this. So I guess, in summary, if your budget is restricted, or you really know you're not going to do anything other than live looping, then the RC-1 is probably the best live looper on the market. Particularly this display, when you've used it, it's just brilliant. RC-3 adds drums and adds memories. RC-30 adds the mic input and adds the second foot switch and the 2-track capability. RC-10 doesn't follow the logical sequence. We've still got 2-track capability. We lose the mic input, but really it's the rhythm section on here that is the reason to buy it. Phenomenal drums on it. There's something like 150 odd patterns. You can add your own patterns to that, as I said before, and you've got the 2-track looping on it. So that's really a brief overview. As I said, there is an RC-300 in the range as well, which gives you 3 separate loops. It is the size of a space station, so it really is for someone that is a serious looper. And on top of that, there's things like the RC-505, the tabletop loopers that are aimed more at the beatboxer. So if you're for guitar, these are really your options, plus the RC-300. All of them are available at Stompbox. We are your store in London, and we have everything available on our website, which is fxpedal.co.uk. I hope that's given you some sort of insight into the range. Any questions, please feel free to ask, comment. Please, as always, rate the video, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.